On our agenda, Citizens Forum. This is an opportunity to address the council on any items that are not action items on today's agenda. If you wish to address the council, you come to the podium. Identify yourself, please, and limit your testimony to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Lee, members of the council. Bruce Minker, work over at the jail. Happy New Year to you all. I haven't been able to get here for the last few meetings that you've had. Passing out a little bit of a what I've called points to ponder, and some of the issues I've been pounding on the council's podium for the last couple of years. Number one being timeout cells that I believe at the time Chairman Moss promised that they would be done back in 2004. As I stand in front of you today, they still haven't been built. That would be one of the items that I would like to see addressed by you folks. Number two is employee suggestion program was canceled with the budget beginning in 2005. I've mentioned this before last year with Chairman Bunning was sitting in the chair about reinstating some funds for that. I was the last recipient of that program in November of 2004. The suggestion that I had put through and was finally approved, the monies gathered on that have tallied up as of this month to $1.7 million put back in the general fund, which was billing DOC for sitting under inmates in our jail with not collecting any funds for it. Since November of 2004 to present, we have collected $1.7 million from the Department of Corrections for that. So seeing that, we should be able to put some amount of money back into that program and get that going back up again. I think that behooves everybody in the room who are taxpayers, that we have employees that have good ideas. The avenue to go down that road has been canceled now, and so we need to reinstate that to get the ideas flowing again, saving money, making money, whichever way it works out. The kitchen is going through another remodel in the jail. I brought this up attention back, I believe, in 05 or 04 at the time. We paid $50,000 to have the floor drains redone in the kitchen, and of course, even after it was done, it wasn't done correctly. And apparently the kitchen is now going back to another remodel project with the tune of what I've picked up on well over $200,000. So the question I would pose to you folks would be, what went wrong initially? The building had a label hung on it before the foundation was even done, award-winning design, and yet we're paying for remodels when the thing's not even 4 years old yet. So I think somebody's cage needs to be rattled on that and get some answers to why this is happening. This whole thing with moving into that jail, with the new kitchen design that was there, we've done away with our whole feeding system that we used for 18 years in the old jail. Now we had to go back and buy trays to replace all the trays that we gave away back in 2003 to start the new program. And the trays we bought in 1984 obviously are not the same price tag that we paid in 2006. So anyway, just some points there to look at. The plans that I have attached to that. Oh, time's up.
Thank you, Mr. Meeker.
Thank you.
I certainly would invite you back. We meet on a weekly basis. Appreciate the good suggestions, and I would take pleasure in following up on those.
No problem. Thank you.
Looks like we've got a couple of questions here for you. Councilmember Gelman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to ask one question. You say that the trays that existed in 1984 have been replaced in 2006?
2005.
And for what reason? Other than the fact they don't fit anymore, or they can't be utilized in the new jail?
Well, what happened was Councilwoman Gilman, I'm sorry. With the new system that was brought into the jail, they said, we can't use these things anymore, so we gave them away. Mm-hmm. Inadvertently, the millions of dollars spent on that current kitchen in the jail is now defunct. We are back to feeding the way we were for 18 years when we moved into that jail in 1984, which meant all the trays we gave away that we bought back then at like $1.80 a piece, we paid well over probably $12, $13 a piece for it to replace those.
And the trays were still functional?
Trays were still usable. Sure, they were functional. And I've been feeding inmates since the day of the old metal tray with the fork and the tin can on the bars. I've been around for a while with this business. So,
was that action premature in your mind in terms of the new model kitchen?
Yes, ma'am. It was premature by any means, and it was bad call all the way down the line.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Murray?
Yeah, we funded a new pod in the jail. It seems like this is the third time we're adding a new space. Have we opened that space, and has it been filled up yet at all?
Yes, sir. Councilman Murray, we opened up the tank 4D on Sunday during the 3-day weekend last weekend, and it's been full ever since that date.
And how many?
84. 84.
84. We filled up that fast.
Yes, sir. It filled up within less than 24 hours, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Build and they shall come. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair?
Councilmember Gilman?
Excuse me, I'd just like to add one more question. When Mr. Moss suggested that they have timeout cells, at that time, was there any funding allocated for that?
Yes, ma'am. I believe that when the thing was designed, that's part of the concept of open dorm housing. That is the thing that you have to have as a timeout cell. So it was there, and it should have been done. It wasn't done. It was kind of like the oops thing, like the property room that I raised Holy Net about, and they, we revamped all that, worked all that, and saved some money on that plan. But this is one of those things where I've been beating on this thing now since 2003 when we moved in April of 2003, and it's still not done yet.
So where are these timeout cells? Are they being utilized for something else?
Yes, ma'am. They're part of the multi-purpose room that is adjacent to the tank. And what it does, it reduces the size of the multi-purpose room down, but it still allows you to have some space for that. But it gives us that element that when we're dealing with an individual who just needs to go out and have some time to himself, we don't have that right now.
And separated from the group.
Yes, ma'am. Separated from the group.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Bunny?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just was trying to make heads or tails of your drawings here and thought I would ask you to walk us through what you were trying to do with that.
On page 1, what you have is the current view is the lower side of the paper, which is the windows in a hallway. The hallway would be facing the Yakima. And the upper view would be removing 2 of the windows, installing doors that would go into the timeout cell itself. Okay, and this is minimal cost on this. Removing the window and the cinder block below that would be, minimal cost. I had it broke down when I turned this thing in 2 years ago, eventually how much it would actually cost, but times have changed, materials gone up. Page 2, it gives you a top view looking down into the cell where you would have the bunk area, the corner sink unit, toilet unit, and an adjacent cell next to it. We'd like to build 2 of these things, side by side. And we don't necessarily need to have one of those for every tank that's on the floor, just one of these on each floor. And, I have been sitting on this committee doing these drawings and counting on the chief desk and the sheriff's desk and making issue of this, and it's still, that's why I'm in front of you folks.
As you should be. Okay.
The third page is nothing more than just a breakdown of a rearrangement of the location. Instead of a corner unit, the bunk would be over to the one side, the toilet sink unit in one corner, showing the cell door location. So.
Thank you. Councilmember Bush?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I was wondering if you could remind me what the incentive or the funds were that were previously appropriated for employee incentives suggested.
I believe
It ended in 04, is that correct?
Yes, sir. I was the last one to receive anything out of the program in
But
December.
Then it prior to several was coming on the council. Do you recall offhand what that amount was?
It was about $5,000
Annually for the whole county?
Yes, sir, for the whole county, for all the county employees.
Okay.
And it would be doled out depending on what you did. It was either $250, $500, or $1,000. This idea that I had on the DOC building was $1,000 because the recoupment that we were going to get from that. Mind you, I was pounding on the door on that one for like 5 years before I got everybody to the table to understand it is taxpayers' money, guys.
Okay.
So the one before that property room was an $85,000 deal, which only, and I'm not, $500 for that. So depending on what you did, depends on how much money they allocated for the idea.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. I don't see any other questions. We will be discussing where to drill into this a little deeper, what committee to use with regards to addressing the concerns that you brought before us. I certainly do appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And would encourage you to do that anytime you see an opportunity to make the best use of taxpayers' dollars.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to offer testimony on items not before the council today? All right. I'm not seeing any. It brings us to item number 12, which is adjournment. We are now adjourned.